The reading from Luke's Gospel, I think is important for us to see read to that community when Luke was writing. This was after the time of Jesus' resurrection, that the stories that ultimately reached Luke were told orally and communicated ultimately, maybe written down in some sayings, and that the reason in the Gospels in general suggests those who know about these things is that not that the Pharisees existed as a group at the time when Luke was writing his Gospel, but that the Pharisee attitude still existed in the Christian community that Luke was writing to, who had heard and been informed by the risen Jesus, someone who had risen from the dead, so that this attitude still remained. And it was possible for people not to follow the words and the teachings of the risen Jesus then, gives us an opportunity to see why we read it today as an indication of what it said in the first reading of how God desires to, I got the wrong page here, that to probe our minds and test our hearts. This is God's desire, not to just make us squirm, but to say that there might be some connection here in our lives, and if there's ever anything about us that has the same attitude as the Pharisee, then we know the call to conversion is happening in our lives, and that we're recognizing it because Jesus is showing it to us and calling us now to allow this testing of mind and heart to lead us into making other choices or asking him to help us to make other choices, because we're not heading in a very good direction according to Jesus if we're obeying what Jesus is calling. So I think that's important for us to see, and not just to point fingers at us or anything else, but just to continue to say that there's a need to see evidence of the growth of faith, and we can begin maybe to see it as we hear also the invitation of this person of faith in the gospel. He knew Father Abraham. He called him Father. And interestingly enough, even though he doesn't seem to have seen Lazarus, he knew his name. So maybe he did see him. So I think that's important for us to see that there was maybe this conversation happening within this rich man that he wasn't able necessarily to figure out or to open up into the truths of his faith. And in the light of the fact that God saw things completely differently than he did. So what's God seeing as he looks at us? Is it Lazarus' virtue, or could it be more of this closed-heartedness, closed-mindedness, closed-thoughtness? Not sure. But I sense we have an opportunity to say, okay, we haven't gone too far. We're here. We're interested in conversion of heart. So Jesus, help us to see as you see, so that then we know what to do. That this is not just a call to better prayer or more faithfulness to Sunday Mass. Yes, okay, those are good things. But so is this a call to deeds and works. That's an essential part of our lives as followers of Jesus. Not just getting the prayers right, but asking them to help begin integrating into our lives in a way that moves us out the open door of the church that welcomes all, moves forward as more integrated people of faith, to help begin to see, as Jesus sees, the needs of our brothers and sisters, and to do our best. We might not be able to solve all the problems that we see, but maybe ask Jesus to direct us. How might I use my gifts? How might my talents and even my limits be put to your service for the benefit of another? I'm not sure what that would look like, But I trust that that's a good prayer to pray. I'm going to continue to pray it, and I invite you to do so as well.